First and foremost, I want to say Call Halal, but now Yahweh Hashem, Hamashiach Yahushai. This is Yahushai Ban Yahushab of the Sakari, sector Sakari Dallas, and coming to you with a quick little video lesson on Deuteronomy 23, verse 7 and 8. Right, before I break that verse down, though, right, I want to go into something. All right, this is in Sirach, the GNT, right? Sirach and the GNT version, which is the Good News translation. Now, it says this about Sirach. It says, I'm going to start off here in the prologue. It says, where it says, I want to say this is the fourth sentence, where it says, that is why my grandfather Jesus devoted himself to reading the law, the prophets, and the other books of our ancestors. After he had mastered them, he was led to write a book of his own in order to share his, and remember that, it says that his grandfather Jesus mastered them, the law and the prophets. It says, and after he had mastered them, he was led to write a book of his own in order to share his wisdom and learning with others, so that anyone who shared his love for learning should have his book available as well, and be all the more able to live according to the law. Now, this is what his grandfather Jesus wrote, and this is what Sirach recorded. This is Sirach chapter 50, right? And this is verse 25 and 26. This is what he wrote, being someone who mastered the law and the prophets and wrote this book, which Sirach recorded and translated, right? And this is supposed to be for learning for those who seek to live according to the law, right? It says this, Sirach 50 and 20. There are two nations that I detest, right? Abhor, hate, right? Going on, it says, and a third that does not even deserve to be called a nation. Here's what that first nation that he detests. Let's see. These are the Edomites. I'm going to say no more on that verse. One of the nations that he detests are Edomites, right? That being the case, that the one who wrote this is one who mastered the law and the prophets and wrote this book, which includes this verse, for the learning of for the particular purpose for those who would want to learn, right, how to live according to the law. All right. If he wrote this being someone that mastered the law, then Deuteronomy 23 and verse 7 can't possibly mean that we can't just hate these people or detest them or abhor them, like it says literally in the King James Version, right? But what we see upon looking at it is that the context helps us understand what it means by abhorring or detesting them. Right, so just going to it. This is Deuteronomy 23, verse 7 and 8. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. Right? That's what it says. Now, Jesus, the grandfather of Sirach, said he abhorred the nation of Edomites, being someone that mastered the law. So this can't possibly mean what you in your proselyte understanding would think it means, right? If you're just coming into this truth, right? Because someone that was a master, that mastered the law, said he hated Edomites. He detested this nation. So this can't possibly mean that you can't detest this nation. But the context will expound more, right? It goes on to say, for he is thy brother, thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. Right? Now going on, it says in verse 8, it says this, the children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. Right? Now what does it mean to enter into the congregation of the Lord? Right? It means this right here. This is Lamentations chapter 1, verse 10. For anybody who is unfamiliar with this method of gaining understanding of the Bible, is called going precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Right? Isaiah 28 and verse 9 gives us the understanding of this is how we should understand. This is how we should understand doctrine, pretty much, right? But this is Lamentations 1 and 10. It says, the adversary has spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things. For she has seen that the heathen entered into her sanctuary, whom thou didst command that they should not enter into thy congregation. So what does this mean? Entering into the congregation means entering into the sanctuary, right? So when we go back to Deuteronomy 23 and 7, or better yet 23 and 8, and it talks about the children of the third generation being able to enter into the congregation of the Lord. It's talking about they will be able to enter into the sanctuary, right? Now, what specific thing happens in the sanctuary, right? Another way of saying sanctuary would be like the holy temple, right? That's where sacrifices are given, right? So what is this? What is it saying in Deuteronomy 23 and 7 and 8 when it says thou shalt not abhor an Edomite? Contextually, it's letting us know that we cannot prevent them from going to the temple of the Lord and making a sacrifice. That's what it's talking about. You can't detest them to that point, right? Now, that's the understanding according to precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, right? We've already went into like a comparative translation, right? Just to understand a little bit better. And not so much comparative translation, but just going into another version of the Bible to clear up the understanding of what this verse might mean in the law, right? Because if Jesus, the grandfather of Sirach, said he hated or detested this nation of people, right? And he being a master of the law, that, it kind of gives you the idea that even if you think Deuteronomy 23 and 7 means that, that's not really the case. All right? So with that, I want to say, Kal Halal, Abanal Yahweh Hashem, Hamashiach Yahushua, and Shalom.